What is going on, everybody? Super Yankee for Life here once again, and I am back here with my NFL picks for week number 11. Apologies for last week, wasn't able to find enough time to upload for week 10, but I'm here for week 11. And I might as well start with a Thursday night game since I'm doing this on Thursday afternoon between Pittsburgh and Cleveland. And I'm going to go with the Steelers to win their fifth in a row. I really like the fact that their defense is playing lights out with the most takeaways and the best turnover margin in the league. I don't think Baker Mayfield is going to be able to get through this game without committing turnovers. And yeah, I like Pittsburgh in this game a lot, especially on the road. Um, but yeah, man, the thing with Cleveland, I just think they're trying too hard on offense, and especially with Baker Mayfield struggling to protect the football. They really should have lost last week. I mean, they had plenty. Not only should they have lost to the Bills last week, they had every opportunity to make the game a blowout because they had so many chances uh, in the red zone, and they didn't come up with touchdowns, and that's why the game came down so close to a missed field goal at the end. So it just offensively, they just it's pretty obvious to me, and it should be obvious to everyone else that Freddie Kitchens has regressed a lot as a play caller from last year to this year. Um, I thought he was fantastic. I think it was really good taking over play calling duties last year around the halfway point in the season. But I think it may have something to do with the fact that he's now the head coach and maybe he's accepting more responsibility. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's gotten into him as far as a play caller this year, but I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh to win here on Thursday night. Then we have Dallas and Detroit opening up the Sunday games rather. Dallas at Detroit. Okay, I got something to say about Dallas here. Um, Dallas to me, and they've been an extremely talented team for the better part of a decade. It's hard to find a team that has been extremely talented on really both sides of the ball more than Dallas in the last decade. That's not just me being a fan of Dallas and just me being biased. That's actually pretty true. You look at what they've done over the last decade with the talent that they've had at quarterback and at running back, and at their skill position players, their wide receivers, their tight ends. On defense, their front seven has consistently been very good with pass rushers like DeMarcus Ware and DeMarcus Lawrence and guys like now like Jalen Smith and Sean Lee and Van Der Esch. This is a very talented roster, but they have consistently been a failure when it counts because I believe Jason Garrett is just not right for the job. I think I don't think I'm saying anything new here, but he is just it's gone to the point now where he is absolutely not fit to be a head coach. And it's showed throughout his entire tenure as the head coach of the Cowboys. I mean, let's think about this here. Last week, they're trying not to score too quickly here against the Vikings to score the go ahead touchdown down by 4. Like I like if you're that scared that Kirk Cousins will lead a game-winning drive or send it to overtime, then you need to lose your job. I'm sorry. Like you're afraid of Kirk Cousins. Like I understand if it's like Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or Deshaun Watson. I understand if it's those guys. But Kirk Cousins? Like oh my god. I couldn't believe it. And not only that, you take the ball out of your best player's hands. And yes, believe it or not, this year their best player has not been Ezekiel Elliott. It's been Dak Prescott. He has played exceptional football with ever since they got rid of Scott Linehan as their offensive coordinator and sort of Kellen Moore. Surely Kellen Moore has had some ups and downs this year as well as with him being a play caller, but Dak Prescott has elevated his game to an even higher level. He has played exceptional football. Why would you take the ball out of his hands? Put the ball in the hands of your best offensive player. And this year, believe it or not, it's not Ezekiel Elliott. It's Dak Prescott. And they chose to do they just Jason Garrett, for whatever reason, just decided, you know what? Nah, we're not gonna try to score too quickly here against Kirk Cousins. Oh my God, I it's frustrating, and it's because it's reasons like that that Dallas will never take that next step. I mean, this is a team realistically that should have already been playing in multiple Super Bowls for the last decade, but they haven't even gotten past the divisional round because of coaching decisions like last week from Jason Garrett. It just it's mind-boggling to me. And you know what? If they do make the playoffs this year, that's a big if because Philly's right on their heels, they're like a half game back. And thank God Dallas has all those division wins because right now they'd be screwed. But if they somehow make the playoffs again, maybe he gets signed. Maybe he gets signed to a contract extension, or I think this is his last year of his contract. Maybe maybe they bring him back. Then they'll never be able to get rid of this guy. He'll be a head coach for life for the Cowboys, and I'll be miserable. But for this game, I guess I'll pick Dallas to win. Would it surprise me if Detroit beats them on their home turf or beats them at home? Absolutely not. It would not surprise me. It just, oh my God, like they should not be 5-4. They really should not be 5-4. They should be like right where around Green Bay is. Like it's one thing to lose to Green Bay. Like their loss to Green Bay is that Green Bay is really good, so that's understandable. But to lose to the Jets, to lose to the Vikings when you had, I mean, the Vikings are a good football team, but Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins after all. But that's a game you needed to win, and they didn't. Who else did they lose to? I'm drawing a blank. I know they lost to the Jets embarrassingly. I know they lost to the Vikings. The Saints, they also lost. Okay, the Saints as well. I mean, yeah, good football team, but we'll get. I mean, even though they lost to the Falcons at home last week, which is weird. But yeah, they should not be 5-4. They should be at best, at the very worst, 7-2. That's just. I mean, I have no words. I have no explanation. But moving on. Jacksonville at Indianapolis. I'll give the check mark to Jacksonville because I don't think Jacoby Brissett is going to play this week. And if Brian Hoyer has to start another game, I like Jacksonville's chances a lot, even though if they don't play well offensively themselves, who cares? It's Brian Hoyer at quarterback. So I'll go with the Jags. Buffalo at Miami. I'll give Buffalo the check mark. Man, I see no team with a winning record a bigger fraud more than Buffalo. They have a winning record because of teams like Miami. So I'll go with the Buffalo Bills to win. Denver at Minnesota. I'll give the check mark to the Vikings. I got to say, Gary Kubiak is the best thing to ever happen to Kirk Cousins because of their ability to run the football exceptionally well. I think Dalvin Cook has to be, I mean, understandably so, with all the talk of Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, and Aaron Rodgers being considered for MVP. I think we need to start considering maybe Dalvin Cook should at least get some consideration for MVP just a little bit. I think he's playing outstanding football. Their offensive line is playing really well. Their run blocking is really good. And it's allowed Kirk Cousins to play a more complementary role in play action passing, which, I mean, you've got, even though they didn't have Adam Thielen last week, you've got, I think, the best wide receiver tandem in the league with him and Stephon Diggs. And Kyle Rudolph is very underrated as well. I don't think he gets enough recognition as well for being a great pass catching tight end. So, and defensively they have played better, even though Prescott lit them up last week. But I like Minnesota's chances going forward. They will have to make sure the running game is on point every single week, because asking Kirk Cousins to throw the ball 50 times is not going to be the recipe for success for the Vikings. But for now, I'll go with them to beat the Broncos at home. New Orleans at Tampa Bay, I'll go with the Saints to rebound after a very weird loss to the Falcons last week at home. Football is weird sometimes. Sometimes they'll just, they were like a 2-touchdown favorite and they lost. Football can be weird sometimes, and definitely, I think this was an anomaly rather than like a pattern or a trend. Hopefully for the Saints and their fans. Jets at the Redskins. I'll go with the Jets because why the hell not? Both teams suck, so I guess I'll go with the team that sucks the less. Sucks the less. That doesn't make any sense. That sucks less, which is weird because the Jets suck a lot of ass. So I guess the Redskins have to suck a lot of ass even more. Whatever. Would it surprise me if Washington were to win this game? No. Who cares? Both will have a top 5 pick in the draft anyway. Not Arizona. Atlanta at Carolina. I'll go with the Panthers here to rebound after losing in the snow up in Lambeau to the Packers last week. Carolina, they should beat the Falcons at home. They should. Then we get to the game of the week, undoubtedly. Deshaun Watson and the Texans going up against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. To me, this is kind of one of those toss-up games that could go either way. If the game was in Houston, I would lean towards the Texans, but it's not. It's in Baltimore. I think the Ravens will win this, but it should be a lot of fun. It should be a lot of fun to watch. Arizona at San Francisco. The Niners. Yes, I've been saying for weeks on this when I've been doing my picks, I like their defense. I like their running game when it works. I don't like their quarterback. And last Monday night, it showed exactly why I don't have much faith in this team because of their quarterback. Because when their running game goes completely silent, which it kind of did for the most part, their quarterback has to then win them football games, and I just don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is that guy. I think that's going to pose a very big problem for them going forward, and I think it will be the reason why this team ultimately does not become a championship contender in the NFC. So I think if a team like Green Bay goes in there and, like, say, the divisional round, or New Orleans, or say an NFC East opponent like Dallas or Philadelphia, I think they could beat them, honestly. So, but for now, I'm going to go with the 49ers at home to rebound over the Cardinals. So hopefully that they won't have too much of a problem with the Cardinals. But, hey, Kyler Murray's electric. We'll see what he can do. Cincinnati at Oakland. I cannot believe the Raiders have a winning record. I didn't call that at all. But here they are. They're going to go to 6-4. I think after this week, should they beat the Bengals at home. I think the Bengals are the worst team in football. Honestly, I think they're worse than the Redskins. I think they're worse than the Jets. I think they're worse than the Dolphins. At least teams like the Dolphins were supposed to be bad. Okay, even though they have 2 wins, but at least they know they suck. I thought the Bengals would have had at least a few wins by now, like against Buffalo. I think there were like a couple of other games earlier in the year I thought maybe they could have won, but man, this team is. They've got talent. They got talent on the offensive side of the ball, but I think they know that Andy Dalton is approaching his journey's end with the franchise, and I think, if I'm them, I'm starting looking at Joe Burrow from LSU or Tua from Alabama as potential successors for the franchise at that quarterback position. So, but for now, I'm going to go with Oakland to win and go to 6-4. New England at Philadelphia, a little Super Bowl 52 rematch. Although it's not really the same because different quarterbacks. I'll go with the Patriots to win this one on the road. I want to be behind Carson Wentz as the franchise guy. In a lot of ways, I still am, but I see I can see this going really south for him. I think if he were to play well here and win, I think this can give him a really good confidence boost going forward as they make a push towards the NFC East division title. I can tell you right now, either Philadelphia or Dallas is missing the playoffs entirely. I don't think there will be a scenario where both teams get in. I think only one team gets in, and I can see Philadelphia being that team right now. I can see them being that team where they make a late push. Carson Wentz starts to play well, and they get in as the fourth seed, presumably as the NFC East division champions. Oh boy, this should be a doozy, I say very sarcastically. Sunday Night Football game, Chicago at the Rams. Oh man. I feel like the NFL sometimes likes to troll its fans by giving us really shitty quarterback matchups, and that's exactly what we have. We have a shitty quarterback matchup between Mitchell Trubisky and Jared Goff. So on the same week where we have Watson and Jackson, a really fun quarterback matchup to watch, we also have a really shitty one between Trubisky and Goff. Which one play? I think whichever quarterback sucks the least will win this game, and I think it'll be Trubisky somehow. But I will give the check mark to the Bears. And then the Monday Night Football game in Mexico City, I believe, this week. Kansas City Kansas City and the Chargers. I believe they were supposed to have this game last year. It was supposed to be the Chiefs and the Rams in Mexico City last year. Remember? And the field goal was all messed up, and it wasn't safe or wasn't ready for them, so they had to move the game to the Rams Coliseum, and it ended up being one of the greatest Monday Night Football games ever. I think that game was absolutely phenomenal from start to finish. You had offense, you had defense, so everybody was complaining, like, oh, there wasn't defense. There were like 3 defensive touchdowns and like several turnovers. So what the hell do you want? Anyway, going off a little bit of a tangent there. I'll give the check mark to the Chiefs. My God, man, their defense is still hot trash from last year. And you would have thought like you have a generational talent at quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, who just came off of a messed up knee or messed up kneecap, and he threw for close to 400 yards or over 400 yards, giving his team the best chance to win, and you don't win it? Like that's on the defense. That's on you guys. That's on Steve Spagnuolo to get the job done. And they didn't get the job done last week against the Titans. I will have some faith this week that they will be able to contain Philip Rivers enough for them to score more points than the Chargers to get the win in Mexico City. So yeah, there you go. Those are my picks. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Until next time, Super Yankee for Life signing off. Peace.